Good evening. I'm Barry Nolan on the decks of the USS Constitution. Old Ironsides, the head of the fleet that glorious day in May when the tall ships returned to Boston. After that tall ship visit, some of those grand old sailing vessels returned to their home, the open sea, and embarked upon a great voyage, a race across the Atlantic Ocean, an endeavor that makes most sailing experiences seem pale by comparison. To always be ready for the unexpected and yet be open for the joy of surprise, the terror, the challenge of the open sea creates an excitement that nothing else can duplicate. And tonight we're going to share a great experience with you as we take you on board the tall ship Lindo for a transatlantic adventure. A tale begins as seen through the eyes of young Steve. She was a ship of the old school, rather small, if anything, with an old-fashioned claw-footed look about her, long seasoned and weather-stained in the typhoons and calms of all four oceans. Her bows looked bearded, and her masts stood stiffly up like the spines of three old kings. And I turned 18 on the day that Lindo finished the race across the Atlantic. They called me Young Steve, partly because I was the youngest person aboard, but having little or no money in my pocket and nothing particular to interest me on shore, I thought I would sail about a little and see the watery part of the world.
Lindo, this is Manitowoc. How big is it? What does it weigh? Over?
It's approximately 3.5 feet long. It's made out of oak, and it has an iron cap on one end. It's about 3 inches in diameter, and it probably weighs in the vicinity of 40 pounds.
We encountered a problem, damage to the bowsprit, even before reaching the starting line.
There's a tab that has broken off.
Down, drop it.
1 3/4 inches long. It needs a weld on each side. Over.
You might as well keep going if you do.
Motor vessel Lindo, this is USS Manitowoc. If Coast Guard vessel will come alongside port quarter, we will throw them a line, we'll take it on and see what we can do. Over.
The USS Manitowoc, schooner Lindo, I roger that, shifting back to channel 16.
The piece was carefully lifted from the boat. And once Greg, the captain, had made contact with the Coast Guard for fixing, the Frenchman, Mark, carried the broken martingale to help. He returned with the necessary adjustments and repairs to the damaged section.
Looks like it's a good weld.
It was a gold welder, I tell you.
A gold welder?
A good welder.
He was a good welder.
How do you like this? Is that what you needed?
That's a 9/16.
That's the 3/8 of an inch.
Do it! Let's get this thing on.
Go, kid.
And work was begun in the bowsprit to reattach the martingale. Hanging near the water, the crew worked carefully to fix Lindo, to return her to her ship-shape self, so that she could prepare to begin the race.
Take that preventer on the foreboom, run it over to the starboard side of the ring strap on the shroud. Christy, put your helm up.
Greg began to call commands. Lindo's sails began to climb the masts, and the crew of 4 women and 11 men worked in concert to set her to great beginnings.
Brace it!
Tugging on the lines, filled with anticipation and wonder, we moved towards the starting line to begin a voyage that would change our lives and make me a ward of the sea forever.
start, gentlemen. Next stop, Norway.
Hey, pop that champagne.
Pop the Coke. Get the squares up first. Christy, 0 the stopwatch.
And so, on June 4th, 1980, Lindo began the tall ships race across the Atlantic.
Let's have a whistle for wind, everybody.
With a great surge of energy, we moved into an early calm. Not much wind, no waves, not a lot of real sailing to do. I worked on repairing lines and sails, and others of us occupied ourselves with the constant, everyday work of an old boat. Working the caulking, tending the lines. Applying the water-repellent pitch to the decks, raising more sails and getting it right. Flying as much as we can fly to catch the reluctant wind and help us forward a steady path towards Norway.
What's your heading now, Bud?
Our captain, Greg Bira, is a man of a bygone day, a man of another century, imbued with a sense of duty and honor at sailing the schooner Lindo towards her Scandinavian ancestry. He's a man who understands the work of old boats and who appreciates his responsibility at maintaining her throughout her journey.
I've sailed ever since I was a child. I've learned how to use tools. I've learned how wooden boats are built. I've learned how they were sailed. I spent a great deal of my time when I was employed on land, working in boatyards, and specifically seeking out older men, older shipwrights. People like Billy, who are the only thing left we have of our maritime heritage. The only reference source we have for maintaining boats like this in the way that they should be maintained. Hold her steady for a minute.
He had an interior vitality, and though young, he was uncommonly conscientious, filled with a natural reverence for the wild, watery loneliness of his life. If you had followed the captain down into his cabin, you would have seen him bring out sea charts and spread them before him on his table. Then, seating himself before it, you would have seen him intently study the various lines and with a steady pencil trace additional courses over spaces that before were blank.
What's the log reading? 79.9. And what are you holding as a course now?
It's on 95.
Right. Bring it down so I can grab it. Yes.
And Craig was the master of many things on his boat. The master of its pieces and parts. The master of its course and destiny. The master of his men. Come on! Ready? Heave!
Give Bill a hand with that.
Take her up! And I had much to learn, much to observe and absorb from these men, for this ship was my Harvard and my Yale. Now these mates were momentous men, including Chris the cook.
What made me decide to do this? Well, I grew up around water and I've always enjoyed the water. I've always wanted to make some sort of life and check out working on a boat. So until now, I never had the opportunity.
Set the spittle on the griddle as you drop that batter into that hot butter. Round and brown, piping hot, like as not, what we got is hotcakes. Hubba, 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 puffing up fluffy and sweet. Now wait.
They say a man works from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done. And for Cookie, as she was affectionately called, the day started and ended the same way, in the galley.
Oh my goodness, the sauce is running into the sheared eggs.
And though she drew a feeble but hungry crowd at breakfast, she rested in the security that she held the key to our hearts, our stomachs.
And now flip it.
Courage was one of the great staples of the ship, like her beef and her bread, not to be wasted.
On this rig, you've got your mizzen, your mainmast, and your foremast, okay? Each one of these three masts, these are called lower masts, all right? On top of each
And Johnny,
one of
the
these lower
bosun,
masts are what-
embodied that
we got
notion.
our topmasts.
He ran the rig with confidence and a knowledge that he shared with us almost constantly.
The lower mast has its lower rigging, the big stuff right here, and the topmast has its topmast rigging, standing rigging, okay? Which are the two cables that you see going up to the top of it. And those cables are the ones that come down to what, those cross trees? Everybody know what the cross trees are? Right? Okay, that's the rigging for the topmast, and this is the rigging for the lowermast. And in between each one of these masts are also a set of what's called stays. Now I'll make the differentiation between a shroud and a stay. Take these and work them tight again. First turn.
Second turn.
Your second turn. Sometimes they don't come loose, tight. See? And then you go here. See? And then last, like so. Stand by, Mark. What I do is, you ready? Stick it through here, so as I pull up on it, it'll sink it in better. Throw them off! Throw them off! Watch yourself, John. Hold that staysail up there. Don't hold them tight. Don't hold it tight. Okay, slack your staysail down.
In him, courage was not a sentiment, but a
I
thing
need
simply
slack on
useful
mine.
to him. He is known in the trade as a keen lad, a dedicated sailor who has made all his own tools and who has also hand-wrought his way of life.
Okay, I need slack. Make that up. I need slack on my outer. Slack my outer sheet. Caught on the anchor.
Rich girls, they live in big brick houses. Poor girls, they do the same. My girl, she lives in the county jail, but it's a brick house just the same. Well, now, let's see what we got this time.
Yeah, I'm real impressed with this boat. Real impressed. It's a good sailing boat. Because the other boats of this sort I've been on, one, the Regina Maris, the same type. It's a Baltic trader. It's just, they don't sail at all. And you couldn't even tack that boat. This boat, the sailing qualities are real fine.
My girl, she don't wear no perfume at all. You can smell her just the same. My girl, that's a T-model Ford, but it's black car just.
Hi, good morning.
Bill is the first mate, a man who has forgotten more about the sea than I will probably ever know.
One evening, telephone rang and someone asked me whether I answered the phone, and the voice on the phone said, do you deliver ships? I said, yes. Anywhere? Yes. He said, do you know where anywhere is? I said, yes. Where do you want to go? He said, I want to go to America. I said, how soon do you want to leave?
Johnny? Your breakfast ready, mate.
But this all started with the thought that when I left Australia, I was going for a 6-month trip around the world. I got down to the West Indies and I decided I wasn't going to find it any more comfortable than that. So I thought, well, this is for me. I just still haven't been around the world. So.
A man who spent his 70th summer crossing an ocean that no longer treats him like a sassy sailor, but rather tests his vast resources and gives an old salt a run for his money. In his eyes, you almost seemed to see the yet lingering images of those thousand-fold perils he had calmly confronted through life.
What in the lanyard or the dead eye? Down.
I know what it looks like now. That was
Second one from forward.
second and third near the top.
Ooh, we should be able to make something out of that.
Plenty
I
of
think
meat
so.
on it. Good enough. Okay.
A boat breaks in passage. She waterlogs. She comes apart at the seams. Sails blow out. Masts have been known to break. And additional booms and masts are carried on a ship's journey. In our case, a wheel, literally rotting out of its housing. And although we carried an extra wheel along, it was a case of round pegs and square holes. But Bill, the consummate shipwright, set to fixing this wheel while I stood at the helm keeping Lindo on course.
Oh, I'd like to look at that one, Bill.
It didn't sound too good, did it?
To J.C., the engineer, fear and danger were to be treated with fair respect. He believes that the most reliable courage is that which arises from a reasonable estimation of the encountered peril. But he is the first to say that an utterly fearless man is more dangerous than a coward. His appraisal of the sea keeps him ever alert, ever ready.
There's always danger. It's around every corner. She can be the calmest, sweetest baby out there, and the next day just tear you apart. You can never let your mind go slack. It's sometimes easy to find yourself drifting away from the fact that there's things going on up there, but you have to be constantly aware.
Go down the covering boards and the boards. It's going to be going right down here, guys.
On this ship, and on any vessel, loose halyards, loose rig, just loose lines anywhere, a messy deck, just not being aware, period. And it's so hard to get that instilled in some people.
Mark is the Frenchman. What more is there to say? A happy-go-lucky, good-humored, easy and without care, he presided over his boat as if the most dangerous encounter were a dinner party, and his mates, his guests.
I think this is the one we'll use. Yeah. Every day is your day.
He neither kidded himself about his bravery nor his cowardice, and maintained a peaceful air throughout the Lindo's journey.
Let go. Roll off. Glasses? God, the Frenchman's blind. Hold your staysail, Mark. Don't pull too tight there, Scott.
Well, I like to be at sea a lot because nothing stops your view, nobody can and step on your toe, and you're very free, you know. You are by yourself.
I am increasingly in awe of my voyage through life's sea, so influenced by these men, and so influenced by nature's wonders, and all of nature's beauty paid us a visit.
Stop.
One character remains. Kiwi, Rick, the New Zealander. My watch captain and the official seamstress of the sails.
Okay.
Rick has almost been around the world, well, at least around Cape Horn.
I was 21 years old, my 21st birthday, and a group of guys that I'd been to school with decided, amongst the whole lot of us, we decided that everyone had finished apprenticeships and everything, rather than fly around the world, we'd buy a boat and sail. Went from New Zealand to Fiji, left in August 1974. New Zealand to Fiji, 1,300 miles. Went up to Futuna, another 800 miles. And then up to Western Samoa, 1,000 miles. Stayed there for 3 months, got kicked out by the government there.
This one is very bad.
From there,
Watch under.
this was like 2 years to Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Okay.
Thank you.
Pull
San
this
Francisco
into your ring.
Top down the coast to LA. Mexico, did all of Baja, and then across to Mazatlan, Manzanillo, then Nicaragua, Costa Rica for a few months, Playa del Cocos, Punta Arenas, and from there down to Panama. Colombia into Buenaventura. Went up the Guayas River, 60 miles off the Pacific, up a river that runs at like 8 to 10 knots.
Fix it out. What we're going to do,
Yes.
is we're going to release all the vangs for starters, right? Off
Right.
off the gap. Bring them over the other side.
Okay.
And then we're going to let the preventers off. And we're going to start hauling in on the sheets. Get them in a stick. Every man's got a sheet. There's 3
We're
of you
gonna
here.
jibe or come back?
No, I'm just gonna bring it up this way and slope off down that way, right?
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna shoot
Thanks.
it right in, and then I'm gonna swing it over this way, and then you just let it out as far as you can, then get those preventers back on immediately.
He is a man whose sensitivity and awareness is masked by an adventuresome spirit. A man truly with wings on his heels, deeply involved with the sea. A golden fellow with a great big heart, who is somewhat inclined towards superstition, but of that sort of superstition which seems to spring from intelligence rather than ignorance.
Like it was snowing most of the time. Glaciers, icebergs in the water. I get my ear pierced.
What have you got this
right
vang
there.
made? Have you got this
And
vang
then
made off to anything
we
here,
set
mate?
out from there.
Well, tie the bitter end off on something.
We're going to the
Because if that goes
Falkland
flying-
Islands, which the Argentinians call Malvinas Island because they consider it's theirs.
Keep hold of them things. Let your sheets out.
So next port was Uruguay. We blew out 13 sails from between Cape Horn and Uruguay, so we've got 17 sails. And then went up to Buenos Aires.
Slack
on the course all.
Okay, hold that. Take the slack out of everything.
Yeah, up to Santos.
Fish, come up to port.
Santos, Bahia de Todos, which is like 1,000 islands in a little bay there. From there up to Rio, stayed in Rio de Janeiro for a couple of months, 3 months. Rio de Janeiro up to Salvador.
Keep the sheet out, boy. Keep the sheet down more.
Salvador up to San Luis out, Devil's Island,
Right out.
on the French Guyana. Hopped all the way up to Tortola, stayed there for 7 months. And then just spent 3 months taking it down to St. Vincent, leaving the boat with one of my partners down there. And so I saw Greg and Beckley and I said, listen, I need a lift to Boston. He said, sure, come along. And then on the way up here, just decided it might be a good idea to go to Norway. Why not?
The sheet on the main top must stay so. It's hanging loose right there. I'll select this off to you. You take in the port sheet.
Go ahead, straighten that.
Take it off the pin first, Scott.
We experienced weather's glory, weather's peace, and weather's terror.
Doesn't look right. That has to come next.
it, John. Yeah.
On the eve of our 15th day at sea, moving along adequately, second in the race, Greg decided we should fly as many sails as Lindu would hold. And in the ever-darkening evening, we methodically raised new sails, setting and trimming Lindu to attract a new madness, an increase in sail capability and an increase in speed.
It's drawn. We can't do nothing as long as it's drawn.
It was indeed the calm before the storm. But what goes up must come down. And in an instant, what till now had seemed a great story, turned into a modern-day sea adventure, complete with all hands on deck. We began to experience a blow, an ocean gale with winds up to 50 knots in 30-foot seas. Those meticulously set sails dropped like flies in order to keep us afloat and alive. We sailed into the sunrise with just one square and the foresail, with the wind pushing us through the ocean like an arrow to a target. All of nature's beauty paid us a visit. An ocean gale is a strange phenomenon. In this case, no rain, but a pounding sea and a raging wind that kept at us for the better part of 3 days, conveniently putting us near the northern tip of Scotland, the North Sea, and the land of the midnight sun. The sun brings life and vigor, especially when it never sets. And so the midnight sun affected us in the same compelling way. Lindo's heart was pounding with energy. People were renewed, awake, alert. As the tension of the tempest lifted and the heaving seas subsided as if a guilty conscience were reprieved, we were gracefully rewarded with light.
We're getting close to Ireland, and there's land around here, and there's reefs. So we need sharp lookouts, and this is a silver sovereign to the first person who sights land on this trip. Jimmy? What about you howling while I hit it? You can't nail a champagne bottle to the mast. How about that? How about that? I wasn't going to do it. Pick it off so that we find it. Nailed on the mast right there.
What's a silver sovereign?
It's worth a Norwegian woman any day. You can buy a woman with it.
First person to see land?
Yep. No problem. Actually, we had a bet. We had a bet on Ariana for the first guy to see land when we left New Zealand. And it was supposed to be a case of beer from each person. I saw Savai first, Savai. Never saw a bloody beer. Never saw the case of beer.
W4UG from HP6AL.
LA4B, skip 6. AL, HP6AL, HP6AL.
W1ACL, W1ACL from HP6AL, HP6AL. I copy your traffic. Stand by 1, Gareth. HP6AL to the group, roger. W1ACL has traffic for me. I'm going to go down to 70, over.
A storm at sea brings a great rallying of souls, a togetherness of spirit. But sighting land is a moment of solitude and a reminder that the singular struggle goes on. There it was, land, so familiar to us, yet literally so foreign. And we battled a headwind that cost us time and speed. And knowing land was close, that the savage wind had given Lindo a great break, we were then, again, aware of the race and our relative position in it. Greg re-established radio contact and began again to pore over one of those charts of tides and currents which have previously been spoken of. Few or no words were spoken, and the silent ship, as if manned by painted sailors in wax, moved onward. And even though an end was in sight, her Norwegian destination continued to elude her. It was still a while in coming.
Upset
Not
now.
good.
No cooperation.
John, are there any other glasses?
I think that a toast is in order here.
Yes.
We've just made a 3,000-mile passage on this boat, which means different things to different people. Just like what you've learned on this trip, only you know. The ship is the mother and the father and the home and the lover. And the jokester.
Talking about the lover, mate.
So it's really easy to drink a toast to the ship, the Lindo. But in addition to the ship, I'd like to propose a toast to all of us because we made it.
Die, mate. Die.
So here's to everybody here. Hey, shipmates.
What are the left waiting for the
Now you can pick out.
Drink it up. This one's for you. It's been a lovely cruise. I'm sorry it's ended. Oh, it's sad, but it's true, honey. It's been a lovely cruise. These moments we're left with, may you always remember. These moments are shared by you. There's wind in our hair and there's water in our shoes. Honey, it's been a well, let's go.
Lindo, a 52-year-old Baltic trader, 125-foot topsail schooner, carried a modern-day crew safely across an ancient and timeless ocean.
These moments we're left with, may you always remember. These moments are shared by few. And those harbor lights, Lord, they're coming into view. We'll bid our farewell, much too soon. So drink it up. This one's for you, honey.
I turned 18 that day. I had come of age. And I don't think I'll feel young again. My romantic notions have been simultaneously shattered and substantiated. And I shall forever pay my respect to Lindo.
Oh, darling, it's been a lovely cruise.
The drama's done. Lindo crossed the finish line at Kristiansand, Norway at 0 hours, 33 minutes, 33 seconds on June 27th, 1980. She placed second among the Class B vessels in the race across the Atlantic.